Hello and welcome to Consumers Corner. I am, of course, the mass consumer, Michael Cashmere, and with me today is the one, the only, one of the bad guys, Manowar. Mano, how you doing?
Thanks for having me here. It's good to be here. Even though I am a bad guy, it's always good to have a chance to talk to you, chance to talk to everybody. I'm doing all right. I'm excited. We got a tag team title match coming up a little bit later for the championship. Myself, Acid Ed, the vintage veterans of violence against the new breed, who are, I don't want to say that they're paper champions, but I will say that they had the belts handed to them and have never successfully defended them. So if that defines paper champion, which it does, you could call them paper champions.
All right. So we already referenced the bad guys. So I'm going to ask you, who's the fourth man?
Who is the fourth person, Michael? Who's the fourth person? I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And, there are a lot of women out there who could definitely fit in with the bad guys. Faith, she gets along with Ed. She enjoys violence. She does a very good job of compartmentalizing everything. She's always saying, oh, this isn't my concern, or yes, I know this, but I also do that. She would fit right in. Haley, we are coming up on Sponsor Wars, one of the most successful team leaders of all time. Haley would certainly be a welcome addition. Angelique seems really interested in getting close to Ed and getting close to myself. She's always kind of hanging around with us. She's kind of that annoying kid sister, emphasis on annoying, emphasis on kid, but she could definitely be in there. Otherwise, you look at a lot of the people that are wandering around right now. We've talked about a lot of these names. One name that I haven't thrown out there yet, though, because I've thrown out Weed Man, and a lot of people have not talked about the fact I've talked about Weed Man. Weed Man would make a great fourth bad guy, but Naked Man, think about that. Who are the two biggest drivers in Federation X right now? The bad guys and Naked Man. Naked Man used to be our manager, short-lived for the new future. Naked Man obviously enjoys, once again, spending time with Ed and myself. Yeah, Ed and Naked Man have some disagreements that lead to some violence. But at the same time, Ed and Gino have had some disagreements that have led to violence. We've been able to work that out. And really, would Naked Man not want to be a bad guy? That's a great question for him.
All right. So the bad guys have come together relatively recently. And as you referenced, you buried some hatchets that some folks might have thought never would have been buried. So what's next for the bad guys?
Well, what's next for the bad guys is, in a way, whatever we want to do, because we are the bad guys. And this company desperately needs people to step up and be the bad guys, especially when it comes to crybabies in the back. People being mad about the name of a card or their position on the card or whether or not they get the attention that they think they deserve. It's also very much needed because of the way the power base operates right now. Let's be honest, the power base is not doing a good job. The Kansas Kid is a great example of that. You don't have to look very far, just come across the numerous number of gimmicks that he's pulled, the amount of damage that he's pulled. And after all that he's done, for example, he's a great example. He was in a downtown gunfight that drew local attention, news attention to our company in the most negative of possible ways. And the power base not only rewarded him with an X Factor title shot, they've now rewarded him with a Sponsor Wars captainship. I don't understand what they're thinking. There are plenty of other people, and they can say, oh, well, the Kansas Kid stepped up to the plate and he volunteered. My phone never rang. Gino's phone never rang. You could have contacted anyone else. You don't have to take the worst possible option when there are other options just because they raise their hand and wiggle it around and their attention is locked on it for a couple of seconds. Also, the power base. You can already tell that they're not doing a good job of keeping people in line. When you see who they're rewarding with shots, you can see the fact that Naked Man, going back to him, another reason he may be a bad guy, Naked Man was shot. Everyone seems to want to forget that Naked Man was a ghost because Naked Man was shot and in a coma. Naked Man, by any stretch of the imagination, should not be medically cleared, and yet they're putting him in the ring. Jonas Zims should not be medically cleared, and they're putting them in the ring. They're putting a lot of young talent and a lot of veteran names in danger, and they don't seem to care. As long as they can hang out in the room with their different brands of whiskey, holding cigars, they seem to be content to just let anybody do whatever they want. And that's just not acceptable. And if I have to be the bad guy to say that, then I'm going to be the bad guy.
So we all know you've been on the dirt sheet a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
You had some things to say on there. One of the things that's been brought up or talked about from time to time is promos in general.
Mm-hmm.
So what, in your opinion, makes a good, bad promo?
Well, I'm going to surprise everyone and drop kayfabe for a second. And I'd like to talk about what makes a good, bad promo, because I think this would be something that could really help a lot of people. So the most important thing when doing a promo is this couple of things, actually. So one, why are you giving the promo? There is a great line when it comes to writing. It ties back to the tradition of Passover. And every first Passover, they sit down and the youngest person there is supposed to say, why is this night different than every other night? And then they tell the story. Every one of your promos, and actually all of your matches, should be geared towards that. Why is this promo and this match different than every other match you've had? What are you trying to accomplish? What do you want people to know about it? Even if you've never feuded with this person before, well, you're a wrestler. Don't you want to come out on top? And if you come out on top in this match, what's your goal? Do you want to become X Factor champion? Do you want to get revenge on somebody? Do you want to just show everyone that you are the best wrestler out there? You're the dirtiest wrestler, you're the meanest wrestler. What is your goal? If you know that, that'll help stir a lot of what your promo is. Second thing is time. Be mindful of your time. It's better for a promo to be too short than to go on too long. I know my last promo was quite long. I had a lot to say, but in general, they put a rule of about 5 minutes. Try to even stay under that if you can. That will really help you out. And the third and final thing is crib from the best. And by that, I mean, figure out what you want your character to sound like and figure out how that person talks. For example, if you want to be a Stone Cold type, we'll find Stone Cold promos and listen to those. If you want to be a rock type, listen to rock promos and listen to those. One of the best things you can do is go out and listen to Hard Times by, it's the Aaron Action looking guy. I can't remember his name.
Dusty Rhodes.
Exactly, no. But it's Dusty Rhodes, baby. Hard Times is a fantastic promo if you've never listened to it. And if you have, go back and listen to it again. And the amazing thing about Hard Times is a wrestling promo that's not actually about wrestling at all. It's about economic hardships in Georgia. And he ties that to the fact that he's chasing Ric Flair for the world championship. He takes everyone's real life suffering and ties that into a story about him trying to take a shiny belt off of another guy that he works with and has figured the match out with. But you don't know that from the story because he's so captivating in what he says and how he ties it together. So find some great promos, watch those, figure out how you want to sound. Not everyone should sound like Dusty Rhodes. Not everyone should sound like Goldust. Not everyone should sound like Stone Cold Steve Austin. You have to figure out what you should sound like and what works best for your character and what works best for you as a person. And so those are the big notes I have. And then the fourth one, 1, 2, 3, fourth. What's the fourth promo? The fourth bit is to practice and practice and practice. There's no reason you have to do it in one take. There's no reason you have to do it the day Lars says to you, hey, do you want to do a promo for this? You can practice it a couple times. You can rehearse it. You can practice it in the mirror while you're getting ready in the morning. Do that. And if you still don't feel comfortable being on camera because you're nervous or something like that, just send them an audio file. Start there, recording your voice, and try that. I know a lot of us are hung up on the fact that we maybe don't sound or look like who we're conveying, but it's fun and it's an extra layer to the show and to what we've created here if you take the time to do it. And if you don't, at least send some words to them so they can read it, because I really like seeing everyone's promos, whether it's a read promo, whether it's a spoken word promo, whether it's an actual video promo. I've enjoyed seeing all of them, and I appreciate the time and effort that everybody's put into them in order to do it. So that's those are my, tips and advice for giving a good promo. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to someone. Have someone listen to your promo or read your promo. We're all here to help people, and we'd be happy to lend a listening ear or provide advice on what we think works best for your character. We've probably all given advice to a newbie somewhere along the line, and so happy to do it again.
So we talked about sponsor wars that's coming up shortly. Where do you think you're going to end up?
I gotta tell you, here's the thing about sponsor wars, and I talked about it a little bit when I was talking about the Kansas Kid. I don't want to wind up on the Kansas Kids team. In all reality, the man is a lunatic. The man shows no responsibility. He shows no real leadership. I don't think he's going to commit to anything very long. He already shows it by he picked Weedman as his number 2. That's no offense to Weedman, but Weedman specifically said, "Hey, with everything I have going on, don't pick me as a number 2." They're already stablemates, and he's not listening to his own stablemate about what is best, not only for his stable, but for his team. That is not someone that I want as my captain. Then there's Storm. I'm not going to bury Storm and say he's not a legend. Storm is a legend in this business. However, Storm does not appear like he wants to be in the business anymore. Storm appears like he's much more comfortable hanging out with his friend, hanging out at a bar, having sex with his wife, and watching daytime dramas. That's fine. He's an old man. He's earned that in his career of doing this. But I don't want my captain, who is more driven to have sex with his wife and then sit down and watch an hour CW drama day in and day out. All right, old Chrome Dome, you're a heck of a wrestler, but I don't want to be on your team. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to accidentally get turned into a vampire or find out that I'm related to somebody in your circle. I don't want any of that. After that, then we have Tony Robes. And pardon me, you're contractually obligated when you say Tony Robes. Ed's already on Tony Robes' team. Like I said, Ed was also available to be made a captain over a Kansas Kid. So I don't know why that didn't happen. Should the new future stick together, that'd be fantastic. It'd be bad news for everybody else, but it'd be fantastic for us. If we get split up, whatever. We're adults, we'll handle it. We're still going to be tag team champions. We'll just be split up tag team champions. Tony Robes does an okay job, but you also notice that Tony Robes came in with like 7 people in the new breed. And now it's just Tony Robes and Dawson Maverick, or Maverick Dawson. I get them confused as well when you put the names together. But Maverick Dawson, it's just the 2 of them now. So what's wrong with Tony Robes that Tony Robes can't keep a team? The real world's champion, one half of the tag team champions, can't keep a team around him? That doesn't seem like good leadership. It seems like if I get drafted by him, Ed and I will be running the show, which is fine. We're able to do that. If we have to be the bad guys to do it, that's fine by me. Last but not least is Omega. There's not a lot to say about Omega. Omega is the protector of the Federation X, but really, Omega is looking to get laid by Zoe Masterson. That's just a matter of fact. He's more focused on that than anything else. He's not helping out his stablemates. He's not helping KSI, get the pure championship. He's not checking on Carnage, making sure he's okay. He's not doing any of those things. He's not checking on his tag partner that was put in the hospital and then just disappeared. So that's not really a leader I want either. I realize he's supposed to be the face out of the 4, but I trust him as far as I can throw him. And I'm in my 40s now, so I can't really throw a guy all that far. So I guess to answer your question, Michael, because it was a good, honest question, I guess my preferences would go Tony Robes. Ed and I will run that. Don't worry. Omega, at least he's not a lunatic. Kansas Kid, he's a lunatic. And then Storm, because I'm not sitting around and watching TV all day, and that seems to be his primary focus these days. That and growing his hair back after what Gino did to him.
So as we take a look at the wrestling landscape right now, obviously we've got Federation X and CWA is obviously reopened its doors, and we all know that I signed a 3-match deal over there, by the way.
Matt, that's a good deal, by the way. That's smart.
Quick plug for me, of course. But looking at the 2 feds, and the fact that Sponsor Wars actually goes across both, what do you really see coming out of CWA when it comes to their real place in the wrestling landscape?
Well, I'm going to be honest. And it's no disrespect to a lot of the talent there, especially yourself included. But the CWA right now is a minor league feeder system. And by that, I mean that it's their job to help ease people into wrestling again. It's set to be a slower pace. It's set to be able to maintain people that want to get back into it, that may have long histories in wrestling and want to get back into it, and to help keep move at a pace that's comfortable for them. It's also a place where I believe is designed for people who have come along and heard about Federation X, probably because Kansas Kid did something stupid, or they've heard about the bad guys, but they've heard about us and they want to come see what we're doing and check us out. And that's a good place for them to be as well, because it gives them a real ease into the waters, so to speak. There is tons of talent over there. There is yourself. There is, liker or lover. Everybody, liker, lover, hater, I guess is actually a better way to put it. But everyone knows their name. Chance is over there. Matthew McDervish is over there. I will be crossing the street at some point and bringing him over here, and he and I will have words after what he said at the dirt sheet. But there's a lot of good talent over there, and I think it is a good place for them. I think that it is a necessary place for them so that they can either work at the pace they want or build themselves up to a pace where they can keep up with the people in Federation X. Am I saying the people in Federation X are the best? That's yet to be proven. Do we work the fastest? Yes, we do. Sometimes out of necessity, but that's where we are. And CWA has certainly got its good place across the street. I'm glad it's there. I hope it keeps its doors open for a long, long time.
All right. So we all know that Deacon Brody had some things go on.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you give us your take on that?
Well, I don't want to make this the all kid interview because I don't want anyone thinking that I'm thirsty for him, because I'm not. But Deacon Brody is a shining example of what the Kansas Kid does with his irresponsibility. So to back things up a little bit for those of you who may not know, the Kansas Kid had 37 babies with Demi Matrix. I don't understand all the logistics of it. I just know they had 37 babies. And the Kansas Kid doesn't care about anybody. Doesn't care about Weedman. He doesn't care about Demi. He doesn't care about his kids. So his kids were wandering around being watched by idiots. Oddfather, Ganja Ninja, Tori Amos. Those aren't people that I would trust to watch each other, let alone watch 37 babies. So I stepped in because I'm a responsible person. And when you see idiots treating children poorly, you have to get involved. You should get involved. You'll notice Omega didn't get involved. You'll notice the Kansas Kid didn't get involved, but I got involved. And Deacon Brody, being a guy that he was green in the ring, and I didn't have a lot of respect for him as a wrestler, but I have a ton of respect for him as a person. He was a man who heard it on the other side of the wall, came around, and when I said, you either need to help out or you need to go, he stayed and he helped out. And the two of us spent a lot of time with those babies. And then what happened is, I don't know how to explain it, but they started disappearing. And it turned out it was the responsibility of one of the other babies, some sort of time travel thing. So of course the Kansas Kid and the Society of Serious Wrestlers were involved, because any lunacy that happens here is usually tied to them. But there was a time baby. And the only way for the rest of the babies to be saved was for this time baby to disappear. And Deacon Brody took the responsibility of that. And he and the time baby disappeared. I don't know if they're dead. I don't know if they're in the future. I don't know if they're in the past. I don't know if it's you. All I know is that Deacon Brody was man enough to take the responsibility that the Kansas Kid never did. And they've disappeared through time. And so, again, it's a shame because he was a promising young man that could have done a lot in the ring. I faced him twice. He came out on top both times. But like I said, I didn't have a ton of respect for him as a wrestler, but as a human being, he is one of the best people that I have met then in Federation X in the time that I've been back.
So we know you have a match tonight, you and Ed, for the tag team titles against the New Breed, and you referenced that a little bit earlier. But it's that time where, we need your words, other than just that they're paper champions. What are you and Ed going to do for the tag team titles that they're not doing?
That's easy. We're the vintage veterans of violence. They consider themselves a new breed. we've faced the new breed before. We've faced the new breed 3 different times. We faced them when they were Alan Scott and Lane Flack, when they were Alan Scott and Ryan Scott, and now that they're Tony Robes Jr. and Maverick Dawson. We're still around. The other ones are not. We are here for the long haul. We are the new future because all roads lead to and through us. What are we willing to do? We are willing to do what it takes. I know moves that they don't know. Ed knows moves they don't know. There is a certain level in this business where no matter how talented and skilled you are, there is an experience gap that you just cannot clear until you catch up to that in experience. And between Ed and I, we have so many battles, so much experience, so much blood, so much gold, so much sweat, so many tears that it is insurmountable for those 2 young men. They may be talented wrestlers, but we are the new future. And so we are going to do things that need to be done. And there are ways to hurt a man and put a man down that they have never even dreamed of. And we're going to pull all the rabbits out of hats, and we're going to shoot all the cards out of our sleeves. And we're going to do what we need to do to win the tag team championships.
So speaking of winning championships, we all know that the Pure Wrestling title is something that you've had in your sights. So tell me a little bit about what's going on lately with the Pure Wrestling title.
I would love to, Michael. That is an excellent question. So you probably remember earlier when I said the power base is basically useless. And you asked, what are the bad guys going to do? Well, one of the things that the bad guys did is we fixed that situation. The Pure Wrestling title is an excellent title. It is a title that showcases wrestling. And quick side note, before I came back to wrestling, what I was doing is I was running wrestling schools. I have one in Boston, one in Chicago, one in Miami. And what I am doing is I am training the actual new future of wrestling. And what I don't want my kids seeing is that in 2020 and 2021 and 2022 and so on and so forth, that the way to break into the business and the way to get ahead is recklessly endangering others and recklessly endangering yourselves. We have lost so many wrestlers over the years. There are so many people that worked with you and who worked with me and have worked with others that don't anymore. Either their bodies can't, or they've passed away, or they're in no condition to be wrestling anymore and they're still trying. And part of the reason for that is things like the Bloodsport title, which says any time of any day, someone can walk up to you, cold cock you with a baseball bat, and that's all okay. But that's not okay. It's not okay for a federation that's trying to still find its feet and bring people in. And it's not okay for a business that is trying to sustain itself and trying to attract younger viewers and younger talent. So when they moved back to the Bloodsport title by Cannibal, who's also now gone and a member of the Society of Serious Wrestlers, who once again don't really listen to what the people want, they do what they want. When he changed to the Bloodsport title, I made it a mission, along with KSI and a couple of other like-minded people, and we got the title back. And when we got the title back, we made it the Pure Wrestling Championship again. And I got to tell you, one, it feels good to do that. It feels good to showcase actual wrestling. Again, to say that there's a place on the card where actual wrestling will take place, that there's a champion who's lauded for their actual wrestling. Now, that said, currently a sound tech, Samuel Watts, is the holder of the Pure Wrestling Championship. That is a temporary setback, but at the same time, that actually goes into it. If Samuel Watts was the Bloodsport champion, there would be idiots running around throwing him through tables, throwing him through doors, hitting him with cattle prods, hitting him with brass knuckles. That's not an environment for someone to be in. That's not an environment for a champion to be in. That's not a way to get ahead in this business. He is the Pure Wrestling Champion. The Pure Wrestling Championship is here to stay. I don't care how many times I have to win the Pure Wrestling Championship. The Pure Wrestling Championship is here. The Bloodsport title is dead. You don't like it? Cross the street to the CWA. This is no offense to you, but if you don't like it, cross the street, ask Maverick to bring back a hardcore championship, and hardcore all you want. Hardcore every day for all I care. Have the power base book you in a hardcore match here, but it will not be for the Pure Wrestling Championship.
Well, now that I've got you fired up, let's go on to my favorite part, and that's name association.
This is good. I like this. I like this when you do this. Let's go.
So we'll just go through some names that I've got here, and you'll just give me a little, maybe it's 1 or 2 words, maybe it's 1 or 2 sentences, maybe it's a whole book, who knows? But you'll let me know how you feel about them. So let's start with the one and only Kieran Crow.
Kieran Crow is a talented wrestler. Kieran Crow is a talented social media navigator. Kieran Crow is at times saddled by the fact that he shares a head with Weedman, and he's also saddled by the fact that he's in the Society of Serious Wrestlers. Kieran Crow deserves better than the Society of Serious Wrestlers, but Kieran Crow is a top-notch talent, and he deserves more accolades than he's gotten.
Naked Man.
Naked Man. Naked Man is the straw that stirs the drink. Naked Man is a backstabber. He stabbed Ed and I in the back for tactical destruction. We do not forgive that. But Ed has also paid him back quite a bit at this point. But without Naked Man, this federation would be basically nothing. It would literally be the bad guys, and it would be Storm sitting at home on his couch, and it'd be whatever lunacy the Kansas Kid was doing by himself for 2 days until he got bored with it. Naked Man is the glue that tries to pull everything together, and I will never fault him for the fact that that he is always out there and he's always making moves. Plus, I mean, the man was dead as far as anyone could tell, and he found a way back to his body, so I got to give him credit for that. That's one tough SOB.
Let's go with a 2-in-1, Robes and Dawson.
They talk a fantastic game. I haven't seen it backed up a lot. A lot of people like Dawson. When a lot of people like someone new right away, it makes me wary. Robes could be better than he is, but Robes is too sold on Robes. And as long as Robes is sold on Robes, he will never be better than he is right now, which is basically a champion with a belt that everyone makes fun of and a tag team title strap that's about to be taken by the new future and a stable that is slowly contracting on itself.
Jonas Zims.
Jonas Zims is young. I think that's the best way to describe him. He is young and he's still trying to figure out what he's doing. And that leads him to say things he shouldn't say, leads him to do things he shouldn't do. And it leads him to take on a moral superiority that he betrays through his actions at times. So Zims is very young. He shows a lot of promise, but he has got a lot of growing pains still in front of him.
Aaron Action.
The Thun of the South. I'm glad to have Aaron Action back. He and I actually never faced against each other. But I mean, for being blunt, for a man that big to have as many championships as he does, he's got something special in the tank. You can see how the audiences react to him. If we ever get in the ring, am I going to beat him from pillar to post? Yes. But do I have anything against the guy personally? No.
Honest Alan Scott.
I know Honest Alan when he first broke into the business, and in the time that I was gone, he rose to be quite the superstar. If I ever get the chance to be in the ring with him in an actual match, I would be very excited for that opportunity. I think Alan Scott talks a lot, but that being said, he's very good friends with Genocide, and I'm very good friends with Genocide. If you're okay with Genocide, you're okay with genocide. And that's all I'm going to say about Alan Scott.
Royal Ryan Scott.
Everything Alan Scott is without as many accolades. Also, he and genocide do not like each other. And if genocide doesn't like you, well, good. That means I don't have to apologize to anybody when I lay you out.
Techno.
I used to like Techno a lot. Techno and I used to roll together. Techno is the and in Blitzkrieg 2.0. I appreciate what he's trying to do by having a side gig to build himself outside of wrestling. I think he could have done better by the young man that he brought into the business. I think he could have done better by his bald-headed companion. It's nice that he shaved his head as well. Techno, I am very excited to get in the ring with again. Techno and I have a lot of bad blood that really does need to be spilled for things to, I mean, they'll never be good for us again. But Techno, he works hard. When we were together, yeah, he's a good member to have in your stable. Now, though, I mean, I don't care for him one way or the other.
And I know you said that you didn't want to make the whole show about him, but let's close with the Kansas Kid.
Lunatic. An absolute unhinged lunatic. That this company allows him to work for them is a smear on this company. He races headlong from ridiculousness to ridiculousness, causing harm everywhere he goes. He doesn't care. He's out for a laugh, and he's out for himself. He is a narcissist. He is most likely a sociopath, and he is not someone that I am happy to be sharing a building with, let alone a profession with. Wrestling will be better the day the Kansas Kid leaves wrestling.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Manowar, for joining me today. It's been great to have you here. You obviously provided a lot of feedback and your side of things. It's nice to hear that the bad guys are actually doing some pretty good work.
Thank you, Michael. That's very astute of you to notice. And it goes to show what a good reporter you are, that you're picking up that the bad guys are here to stay. We're doing the best that we can. We are a necessity. We are a necessary bad in this industry. When you all find out who the fourth person is, you're all going to pretend that you're not surprised. You are. Or you would have come to us by now and said, it's me, right? You don't know. You're going to be surprised. And when that fourth person arrives, then we are really going to do some things here.
All right. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you again soon.